Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Reignite Your Path and Passion. And this is a jumpstart event, a jumpstart platform for women 40 plus who really want to gain more clarity, who want to reignite their dreams, their passion, things that they really want to do, their loves in life, to reignite their path, the direction, the way there, and to make those shifts that you've really been wanting to make for a long time. Or maybe they're new shifts that you want to make that you haven't thought of before. So this is an exciting event. And today I'm Mitta Wise, by the way. I'm your host. And I'm a hypnotherapist living in Los Angeles, originally from New Zealand. And today we have a lovely speaker. Her name is Jill Marie Haas. Welcome, Jill.
Hello.
Yes, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jill. Jill Marie Haas is an integrative wellness practitioner and coach dedicated to helping highly sensitive, high achievers unlock their full potential and create lasting change in their lives. With a background in automotive, healthcare, nursing, and energy healing, Jill brings a unique perspective to her work, combining her understanding of the human body with a deep focus on the mind and soul. As a professional certified coach, Jill Marie offers transformative programs that provide deep inner healing and empowerment. Her extensive training and years of experience make her a true expert in her field, constantly evolving as a student of life. Yes. Jill Marie's approach is characterized by trust, authenticity, and humor. She creates a safe space for clients to explore their emotions, heal themselves, and unleash their true potential. Through private sessions, group coaching workshops, and programs focused on overall well-being, she equips clients with the tools they need to heal and thrive. Yay. Thank you, Jill. Thank you so much. So
Thank you so
Jill,
much. It's good to be here. Sorry.
yes, it's okay. So your topic today is Unleash Your Inner Fire, Igniting Passion and Purpose in Every Aspect of Your Life. So Jill, tell us a little bit more about you, your background, how you got here today.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty full journey, so I'll give you the snippet.
Yeah.
And that is I started in automotive industry back in the day. I was born in Michigan and there's all automotive here. So I have a degree in auto body design and I did that for a little while, realized it wasn't serving me, dove into nursing. So that served me again for a little while. And then I realized that I really wanted to help people break the cycle of sickness because as I was in my nursing studies and working in home care. I worked in medical sales. I worked in um, uh, liver kidney transplant at University of Michigan Hospital, practice management. I did all kinds of different things. And I just noticed that people need help, in my opinion, more than they need medicine. So I was also embarking on a coaching training journey while I was doing the nursing. That really intrigued me. And I had a captive audience with some of my patients to, permission, of course, asking, do I ask you a few questions? And it was kind of fun because I got a chance to really test out my skills, but also the answers that I would get back were just astounding. And some of these people had breakthroughs right at the bedside with just a couple questions because nobody really is asking these kinds of things, right? You're asking deep, provocative questions and you're really listening to in a different way than a care provider, a nurse or a doctor, like, okay, tell me what your pain is today. And did you take your medication? And are you having any side effects? What are you experiencing? So that was fun. And as I ended up having a back injury that took me out of the nursing game. And I could have gone back, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a go of this coaching thing. And so I did. So fast forward, like, I don't know, I guess we're like 13 years out from the disability, so to speak, when I could have gone back and I chose not to. And here I am working with highly sensitive people. I call them high sensitive achievers and helping them release past hurts, pains, traumas, and so that they can clear all of that and live their dreams and build their lives the way they want to, like repurpose, reignite, like you say.
Right. Well, I can relate. I'm a registered nurse, so I can relate to having that
Oh, great.
foundation before you go into the coaching. So, um, what do you find is a common concern or challenge, seeing as we have an audience of women 40 plus here, as well as others, but primarily women 40 plus. So what do you find is a common challenge or concern in that age group?
Yeah, that is a great question. Now, what I want to say is there's a lot of unregulated stress causing a lot of things. And most of my female clients that have come to me, they're dealing with a lot of, we'll call it self-diagnosed depression. Some of it is depression that they have been diagnosed with maybe years ago, and they're still saying, well, I probably have it. And then also, as you know, as a nurse, there's a lot of high comorbidity with depression is anxiety. So we've got a lot of high functioning women with anxiety. So these are like emotional things, right? And then the other thing that I'm seeing is these women with or without these issues of depression or anxiety, they're showing up with um, unresolved and undiagnosed, like they hit a wall and the doctors can't figure out what's going on with them. They are doing tests and all these things, and they're trying all these things, and they're getting nowhere.
Right. Yeah,
That's what I would say I'm seeing the most of.
that's a really good point. And that actually encourages them to go over past their comfort zone sometimes and search out other things like you or coaching, etc. So, and how do you support women? How do you do that in finding their path, igniting their passion, helping them make their shifts? How do you do that specifically?
Well, I have two pathways that I do that in. And you'll relate to the one for sure, the body pathway, right? The physical
All
pathway
of
and the
them.
mind pathway, right? Being a nurse, you get it. There's the whole body. We can't ignore it. Although we know that's when we're in a certain practice in the hospital, for example, we're only looking at that area that has injury or need treating, right? We're not looking at the whole person. If you're a holistic nurse, you are doing that, but the physicians most likely is not. And you're making referrals. So then we've got the mind pathway. So there's the emotional, mental health and the physical health and well-being that I'm looking at with my clients. And for women specifically, because there's these, anxiety and depression going on, we want to address that. And so obviously I don't diagnose and I don't treat, right? We don't do that. But we recognize what's going on. We recognize the signs and we know what to do as a coach. We know questions to ask. We know tricks and tools and processes and modalities to help people get through things. So one of the things that I do to help people get on their real true path versus the one that because a lot of times we're on a path that's just like, I don't know how I got here and I don't know how I'm going to get off of it. But what I'd really like to do is that, but that's probably unachievable. So it's really looking at what's going on and clearing up that, like the depression, anxiety, whatever it is. We're not going to say we're working on your anxiety today. Instead, I'm working on these past memories, past traumas, past events, PTSD things, and things that you might not call PTSD, but to the self, especially a highly sensitive person, something that had happened, maybe you were bullied as a kid, that could be impactful and cause something that sets the tone in your subconscious mind. It puts a program in there of survival, and you're running that program all the way through into your adult life. And what I'm finding is working with these women is you get to a certain point and maybe you're an empty nester now, or the kids are starting to be more independent and you're just like not having to be so involved. So now you have to kind of look at yourself a little bit, and so these things start coming up, and then you start questioning where you are and what do I want. And it's the perfect time to really sit down with somebody and have a really deep conversation about what do I want and how can I get there. So we start with working on the mind, and then once we clear some of that up, a lot of times I find that they didn't realize that either they don't want where they're at right now, not necessarily they don't want their family or their husbands or whatever, because I think some people are afraid that they're going to come to that conclusion. But instead they decide, they're like, oh my gosh, I really can go for that career that I wanted, or I really can do this or that now. I didn't know that was even possible, because in their mind, they were limited by the subconscious programming that was in there saying, no, you can't, it's not safe, don't do it, don't go there, don't even think about it. I'm going to have you go over here and do some more laundry. Remember all the responsibilities you have, right? I'm sure you've seen this, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, those are really good points that you have. And I love that you say that we recognize things and then we act from there as coaches. So
Hmm.
that's really great. So I know you work with overall health and wellness in those areas, right? The body, mind, and probably the spirit as well. And how do you stand out? How are you different? And how do you stand out in what special qualities and results do you have with, with the women that you work with?
Yeah, good question. And thanks for asking that. So as I mentioned, there's the two pathways. So oftentimes I find, and you've probably seen this too, again, as a nurse, we can't help but notice things, right? We are trained to be
Mhm.
really aware, subtleties, whether you're a highly sensitive person or not. And you start working on the mind, and what happens is abreactions show up. And you're probably familiar with this because I think you do EFT too, right? So you're familiar with abreactions. And so the body starts to do things like a coping strategy. Again, going back to don't want to change this, let's not do that. And so this is a great way to help the client through whatever's happening. Abreactions don't have to last forever. Sometimes it's just yawning, crying, sneezing, or whatever. But sometimes it's like someone feels just completely paralyzed, like I can't move, or I'm feeling very sick, or suddenly they're having a health crisis showing up. And it's like a flare of an autoimmune issue. It's like, ooh, this is interesting. Let's talk about this because something's going on there. So we can actually, I'll do biofield testing. So that's my body pathway. And we'll have a quantum conversation with the biofield, which is a real thing. We all have a biofield. We all have this EMF field. And we'll find out what the priorities are from the field to help that person in the moment, and not just in the moment, but usually for like a month, some nutritional needs, herbs, supplements, something like that to help them get through. And then there's some energetic components to it as well. But this way, clients have more support than, because sometimes the body can be so powerful with its flares or its abreactions, where the client, a person, is just going to say, I'm out. This is too hard. I don't want to feel bad. It wasn't supposed to feel bad, which, you and I both know that sometimes it might be a little messy going through, where it's not going to be a perfect rainbows and unicorns as we're working on ourselves, especially if we're clearing some things out. But to, know we stick with it. It is rainbows and unicorns on the other side, but you got to stick with it to get there, right?
Yeah.
So doing these two together, I find, is a great combination to help support the mind and the body.
Yeah, I love the way that you do that. The biomedical testing, did you call it?
Biofield, yeah. So it's working. It used to be called morphogenic field technique. So it's the morphogenic field or the EMF field that's around us. We all have one, just like the planet has one.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with that, but you said test. I thought you said the word testing, that you do some kind of testing.
Yeah, biofield testing. So
Ah,
we actually use vials of imprinted problems and solutions to put in the field and pull out of the field to see if it attracts to the field. If the field attracts to anything, that's not, we'll say a problem. We don't want it to attract to anything, but when it does, it means it wants to talk about it. And it's like, okay, well, what's going on with this? What do we need to
okay.
do?
So it's a little bit like muscle testing or things like that,
Yes. Yeah,
kinesiology.
using muscle testing to get the
Mhm.
response.
Mhm. Great. I know you work with resilience a lot, and you have the term, I think you do one of your workshops or one of your programs is called the resilience reboot, which I love. It just rolls off the tongue. So how did you get that name? Did it just come to you?
Well, I think, what I find is, so it's two things. So I work with veterans, as you may know, and, doing kind of excuse me, reboot, boot camp, rebooting yourself, and then the rebooting of the computer. So it's really that resilience reboot is kind of like, we won't want to call it like virus cleaning or whatever, but we're going in and we're taking an inventory of what's going on and working on what we can to build that resilience so you are recovering faster from stress triggers and emotional challenges.
Mm. Right. And how does someone build resilience? They do this, the resilience reboot, and
Oh
what
yeah.
else? What's incorporated in that?
Well, in that particular program that I do, it's I think two private sessions with me. And like I said, we take an inventory. A lot of times we're looking at the relationships that people have, because those are the things that we are engaging in the most if we're if we're working, if we're a complete hermit, then, and you don't have any relationships, even on social media, then you may not need to work on your relationships. But I would test that theory. Most of us have relationships that we're working on and they're influencing us. So with this program, we'll go in and find out where you're being influenced, find out your assets, find out things that need to be cleaned up, like any relationship might have an unresolved, broken promises, unspoken conversations, anything like that. But then you want to find out, where are the assets in these relationships that you haven't asked for? What again, unspoken conversations that could be on the good side or the bad side. And so anyway, we take an inventory, and it's like a real short way to just get a jump start into your healing journey and find out where you're at and how you could move forward from here. Like it's we could call it a diagnostic tool, so to speak, but we get some real work done too.
Wow, sounds great. And I know, so you offer these coaching programs for women, veterans and non-veterans, right? And tell us a little bit more about the veterans program, and also what inspired you to create the Warrior Path Home, which was a nonprofit.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'll start there. So a few years ago, based on connections in the community, two different people connected me with Veterans Treatment Court here in the county. And so I spent 3 years going twice a month to Veterans Treatment Court to learn about them and then be there as a support. So I did do some things with them. We did do some tapping and some EFT, things like that. And some of it was perfect timing for some of the things that were going on with them. Getting in front of the judge, they did something wrong and now they're panicking and having a panic attack. And it's like, okay, come over here. Let's go into a conference room and talk about this. So that helped me really not helped me, but I fell in love with veterans there. I'm not a veteran. My family member's not a veteran. I was married to an ex-Marine. And I think my uncle was in the Navy. So it's a very kind of a distant association, because a lot of people ask, well, are you a veteran too? Well, I'm not. I just have a strong passion for what they've been through and where they are. And then, hearing all these stories for 3 years, it was like, wow, I could help these people. I would really like to. So right before COVID, I opened a nonprofit called Warrior Path Home. And that was the inspiration, was to help more people do more things and get the veterans out there to help them build resilience, because they have it, when they're in their zone, but then they come back out of the military and they're here. They may have all these accolades out there in the military. People know them as this 5-star this, 3-star that, amazing, all these amazing things. But then they come into the real world and nobody knows anything about them. They might put it on their resume and their employer might know these things, but they're not who they were. And it's almost like they're just, it can be a little defeatist feeling, or, a self-worth comes in and, what's wrong with me? And then some other things too. There's a lot of anger I find with a lot of veterans. So I have worked in my programs with them on a lot of the emotional things. And I would say the number one thing that shows up with the veterans I've worked with is anger management.
Mm. And of course PTSD. And I saw you had written something about veterans struggling way beyond PTSD. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so struggling beyond PTSD is, so that you've got the event, the event in time, whenever that happened, and then you are still like, one of the taglines we use is we want to help veterans come all the way home, and that means here, because sometimes they're still fighting their battle wherever it was, and so their struggles come with not being able to let that go. So their relationships start waning with their kids, their families, their loved ones, maybe their jobs. They start losing jobs. And these are things I saw, witnessed in Veterans Treatment Court. And that's a lot of times why they were there, because they were struggling so much, they reacted in ways that were inappropriate. And they had an option to come to Veterans Treatment Court versus serve time. And it's like a 2-year program.
Wow.
So does that answer the question?
Yeah, that's great. And what about having a safe space for vets? How do you find creating that for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So working either in a group, or it depends, because a lot of veterans, either they don't want one-to-one or they don't want groups. They want one or the other. So it's creating that safe space for them in So, like I'm going to say to you, I know, coaching space, right? We create that nice container
Mhm.
where they are feeling heard, supported, and where we build that rapport so they trust you to work with them enough to help them through something that they might not even tell their loved one about, something that happened. I've heard some, uh, what is the word? I don't want to call them traumatic, but I've heard a lot of stories. Um, they're very interesting, they're very powerful, and some of them are quite terrible. And so you hold space for these people for their healing, and it's not to have a pity party for them. It's to help them let it go so they can move on with strength, courage, and just really make peace with that and make peace with their mind.
Right, good for you. Um, what do you do daily to support your ongoing dreams and so you can unfold into your dreams? What kind of things do you do daily? And what tips can you give the attendees in daily support for themselves as they move through life?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So one thing that I do, and obviously I do all my tools, whatever I
Mhm.
can do for myself, I do, but I also have practitioners that I call on regularly. So I am always doing my own work too. It's very important when we're doing this kind of work to take care of ourselves. And it's just important, even if you're not doing this kind of work in the world we're living in right now, right? We really should be a little more focused on doing inner work, but it can be hard. We get busy. So for me, I love doing exercise and yoga. Of course, I do a lot of tapping. I
Mhm.
have some other modalities and things I use. I do a lot of writing and journaling. One of my favorite things to do when I'm having a trouble is dialogue writing and give. I'm writing as myself, and then I'm writing as the thing that's the problem and talking to it and having a dialogue conversation. Those are like some quick tools. But I really strive to find peace. So, because I'm a highly sensitive person. I have struggled with anxiety and depression myself. So I get it. We can be stuck in these, we'll call them trance thoughts of feeling, and these neuropeptides can come take over our body, and we are riding the wave, and it's hard to get out of it. But I would say any of you who are listening and you find yourself stuck in whatever it is that's bothering you, and you're like, I don't like these thoughts, I don't like these feelings, change your physiology. And that means get out of the area that you're in. Don't just sit there and think about it. Go do something else. So whether it's tapping or other modalities, maybe that Mitta has taught you and is teaching you, anything that can help you. I tell my clients sometimes, if you're able-bodied, get outside and go do a cartwheel on the front lawn. Go stand on your head. Like my yoga people, I'm like, you're going to do a handstand right now, and you're going to do that for a couple minutes and come back, because
But
you've got to change. Go ahead.
I thought going for a walk was great. Hey, a cartwheel, that sounds great. A
Yeah,
headstand, why
just
not? Why didn't I think of that? I used to be a gymnast.
well, there you go. Now it's time to limber up, Mita, and start practicing these
Right,
different things, or even just do tree pose.
right, exactly. Yeah, great advice. Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to tell us more about any of the programs and courses that you offer? I know you've talked about the resilience and any other programs that you want to mention that you do or that you offer?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I do have a 6-month program that I work with on women, and I will say I have 4 slots left. I take 5 people at a time right now. So I have 4 slots left for that. And that is working with the biofield and doing the coaching. And
And that could be
that
veterans or
is,
non-veterans, right?
it's
Sorry.
for anybody. Yep. Yep. For anyone. Yeah. Yeah. And the goal is to clear up the past and get you present with the now so that you can have that greater capacity for creating and build your future from there.
Right, sounds exciting. Do you have a favorite quote or a favorite phrase or something like that?
Well, Mita, the best quote right now for me is done is better than perfect. I've been very busy and
Right.
I used to be very much a perfectionist. So calling it done and not worrying about it being perfect has been actually quite refreshing.
A blessing, right?
Yes, a blessing.
There is another quote that I've seen, and I think I've seen it on your Facebook page. It says, you can't force someone to work or to work with you or to come to the water, but never underestimate the power of planting a seed.
Yes,
I
yes, I
love
love
that
that.
one. Yeah, me too. And I know
Yes.
that we go in our work, we plant a lot of seeds, right? We talk a lot to people. We do a lot of free events or sometimes a free call or something like that, and just to help plant the seed, even if and there's another quote that I love about loving. They might not be ready to move, but you can still love them, and maybe one day they'll be ready to move, and maybe not, but you can still love them in the process. So I know that I thought that would be meaningful for you as well.
Oh, absolutely. And it is for sure. And planting seeds is that's what we're doing all day long, isn't it?
It is, yes. So, your free gift is Unleashing Inner Strength Play Sheets, resilience building exercises to conquer stress and anxiety. So, tell us a little bit more about those.
Yeah, so it is like we'll call it a playbook. I don't call it work. It's not work. And it's over 30 sheets of exercises to help you relax into you're having an issue. You can print off a sheet. They're printable. It's a PDF, and you can do some of the exercises in there to help you get new perspectives, gain a new insight, shift your thinking, and just get a different perspective when you're having that moment. Like I was saying, when you find yourself in a moment of emotions and you don't want to be there, it would be a great time to pull out that and just print a page off and dive into some exercise to get your brain doing something different. But I would recommend doing it somewhere else. Like if you're sitting at your desk feeling stressed, don't do it at your desk. Go somewhere else with it. Go outside if you can, if it's nice.
Right. No, I think that's a great idea. So everybody watching, don't forget to look at Jill's links that are below this video. All of her website links, her other links are there. Her free gift is there, so you can click on that. So please go and explore everything she has to offer, explore who she is and what she has to offer. And it could just be that thing that you need. So make sure you do that, okay? Jill, do you have any final words of wisdom?
My main thing would be, if you know that you're struggling with something and you've been struggling with it for a while, do not be shy to reach out to someone to help you and to help guide you. It doesn't have to necessarily be therapy. I think a lot of people think that they have to go to therapy if something's up, but coaches are great resources for helping you sort through what's going on in your mind.
Great advice. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jill, for coming on today. And I'm sure everyone's got a lot out of what you've said and the tips that you offer. So thank you so much. And we'll sign off. Bye, everybody. And this, by the way, was Jill Marie Haas, just to make sure you have that.
Thank you, Mitta. This was great.
All right. Bye, everyone.